It's pushing west, and that's why East Garfield is the hot area right now, because especially housing, it's pushing west from downtown. And in fact, housing, of course, has the residential development is way past, the business development in West Garfield. So you got a lot of new housing development over here, and in fact, you know that they're changing demographics and everything, over here in East Garfield. But yes, development is pushing from downtown.
Where does that housing development primarily occur?
Washington Boulevard, Warren Boulevard. It's really scattered, all over the area. Monroe, Wilcox, in that area, but mostly, I'd say a whole lot of it is like around Warren, Maypole, and Washington Boulevard, in those areas. Yeah.
Is the chamber focused mostly on the eastern part of the neighborhood right now to try to piggyback on that housing development?
Actually, we're focused on it, but not just, the chamber is not just focused on East Garfield. Part of the boundaries covers West Garfield. So, of course, we just got finished with the plan, working with the city and the aldermen on a plan for, the revitalization of Madison Street and West Garfield. In fact, it was just, they had the last meeting yesterday with the consultants on that particular plan. But because East Garfield is a target for LISC, they funded the planning process in East Garfield. And so ultimately you have the chamber is involved in two planning processes, but certainly East Garfield is a primary focus. The planning the comprehensive plan has been developed, and we're still going to be talking to the city about making giving their input on it. But basically it's been done, and we're moving forward with the recruitment and business attraction part now. We've already started to attend the conferences around trying to promote the area and attract businesses to the area. Yeah.
It seems that on Madison, what you're talking about, there's a lot of vacant property, and from what I've heard, 80% of that, or around 80% of that, is privately owned.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Does that hold you back at all? Are there speculators sitting on land there, hoping things are going to get hot and that they'll then sell? Does that keep things at a
Well, we think that speculators are sitting on the land, and yes, it does pose somewhat of a problem, but we're hoping that we're going to be able to get around it, because we are planning to have forums, with landowners, and hopefully be able to bring them into where we are with the planning process, and hopefully the city would work with us to, to help get us where we need to go. Now that's not a promise, but that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping that we'll be able to sit down with the developers, the landowners, and talk about what it is that the community wants, and hopefully they'll buy into the process in that manner, and maybe move up their efforts for development, or consider how they would sell the land. So we're hoping that will happen.
Right.
Yeah.
What is the attraction for a business to locate here? What do you tell prospective businesses for the community?
Well, you have, the first thing is that you have an absolutely beautiful area here. I mean, you have the park over here with the conservatory that attracts people into the community all the time, and of course down on the east end you have the United Center, and aside from that, you have the growing housing boom in the area. It's just people are moving in from all over everywhere. Even if they're not new houses built on Monroe right in back of me, you've got a lot of folks who've moved into the area from other areas who have bought buildings that are already there, and rehabbing them, and so you've got just a really growing community, growing demographics, in the area. So I just think it's a gold mine, actually,
Neighborhood shopping strips all over face a lot of challenges, I think, these days, in terms of, Walmart and Target, and people's shopping patterns having changed. What are suitable businesses that would be really viable for a strip like Madison?
Well, what the planning process told us was that this area is suited for small to medium-sized business development, and so we're hopeful that we'll be able to attract, that size of business. There are no plans for big box development in this area, and so people have said that they want it, they want name brands, they would like to see, like, in terms of clothing, they would like to see a TJ Maxx or Marshalls in the area, but there are no plans for like a Walmart's or anything like that. There's no space for it, actually. There's no space for them, actually.
Have tax increment financing districts and the empowerment zone, has any of that had much concrete effect in the neighborhood?
Well, to this point, because you see what it looks like at this point, but there is a TIF. This is part of a TIF. All the way close, nearly to Western from Hamlin is the Midwest TIF. So you have that, in the area. And we're hoping that that will be an incentive, for people to do business in the area also. In terms of the empowerment zone, I'm told that those monies are basically gone. But these are still, empowerment easy zones over here, in the area. Yeah.
Are there any successes you would point to recently with all the housing development that has come in terms of new business, anything coming in?
I can't say that because if you drive down Madison, you'll still see nothing, which is all the more important for us to get started with the process because, as I said before, residential development is far past, commercial development in the area. So there is a severe need for commercial development. And it makes sense not just from the perspective that you've got new people moving into the community. You've always had people here, and I'm not sure why, development has not taken place any faster, on Madison Street. I could speculate, and some people, with some of, when you talk to developers, retail developers, sometimes they'll say, well, the didn't have the income in the area, that kind of thing. So I'm sure that there are different reasons, why it has not caught up, commercial development has not taken place any faster than it has. But that's the void, that's the gap. So what we want to turn that into, an opportunity, in the area.
Is there anything you want to add?
No, I just think that this is a beautiful area, and I just personally love the area, and I would just like to try to sell the area just on the fact that it's close to downtown, it's close to, the major arterial, the expressways, Pulaski Road, all of that. You're just, 2 minutes away from the expressway over here, the Eisenhower Expressway. The trains, the Congress L, the Lake Street train, so if you want to hop a train, or if you want to get in your car, you have easy access. It's an absolutely fantastic area. This park makes this area just so very attractive. And the fact that you're so close to downtown, I think those are selling points, personally.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.